Shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, and I am feeling jazzed today because I'm talking to a jazz lady. She is a musician. She's also a songwriter, and for quite a few years, she owned a couple of jazz clubs in Manhattan. But let's before I even tell you a bit more about DEANNA KIRK, let me read you a bit of a bio for her when she appeared at a club singing in Istanbul, Turkey, not Constantinople, Istanbul. This is what they wrote. With her rich and velvety tone, phrasing reminiscent of the great crooners, the swing of Sinatra, and a deep understanding of every lyric she sings, DEANNA KIRK is arguably one of the greatest jazz vocalists of our time. And let me tell you, my friends, if you get one of her albums, you listen to her singing the song Fever, you won't forget Peggy Lee, but you will make some extra room on the bed. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you please welcome to the neighborhood, DEANNA KIRK. Shalom, DEANNA.
Shalom.
Shalom, how are you? You're looking great. How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Now, you are not at the moment in New York City. You're out in a place that you lived for quite a while. Why are you on Long Island?
I'm kind of spending a lot of time with my parents. My father's 88 and my mommy is 85, and they have a house in Freeport, Long Island, which is it's like 15 minutes away from Kennedy Airport and it's about 10 minutes from Jones Beach, as you know. And yeah, I'm kind of helping out a lot more. So I'm spending, maybe 3-4 days a week here. And it's only an hour from this house on the Long Island, from this to the station, to Penn Station, to my East Village apartment on 4th Street. That it only takes about an hour, so I'm kind of commuting, as you might say.
Yeah, no, it's so were your parents very encouraging back in the day when they realized when did you realize you wanted to be an entertaining kind of person? and your folks were like, well, we were hoping for, well, they're not Jewish, maybe not a doctor or a lawyer, but
well, my mother's Italian, my father's Irish, so that kind of is very Jewish. That they make that combination makes Jewish.
Sorry, well, or it makes a bartender. When did they realize, and you realize, and how were they about it?
Okay, well, my parents are both artists. My father's an architect, and my mother's went to Juilliard to study opera. Well, not opera, but light opera. And she was active. She actually sang in my club. That's another story. But they were always encouraging for me and my 2 younger sisters. And we all took piano lessons, and they absolutely encouraged us artistically. So it was very natural for us to just go into the arts. Both of my sisters are musicians as well. They're teachers, though. And
but yeah. You went that one, shall we say, extra mile of actually being performative. When did you realize that you didn't just have a nice voice, or that you weren't just good to go to a family party and sing a song karaoke style, but to actually be a singer of some note?
I think I was 20 years old, and I was a classical pianist, and I was going to go to I went to Rutgers at the Mason Gross School of the Arts to study classical piano, and I knew that I had talent, but I wasn't going to sit in the classroom, the practice room, for 8 hours a day. And singing was my passion, secretly, in a way. I'd always kind of sat at the piano. And my mother kind of taught me through osmosis. I would just always watch her. And then when I was about 20, I left Rutgers. I didn't continue playing piano classically. Oh, I was hired to go on the road as a backup singer, and I played the last Playboy club ever in existence in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, I remember that one.
You know,
no,
it was, and I was with the Robert Ferrer show.
Robert,
this guy named Robert Ferrer. He was like this Argentinian, like ooh, and I was an ooh ooh ah girl, so I would go ooh ah
All right.
ooh, and then I'd sing smooth operator.
Yeah, all right.
And
Yeah,
it was the
okay.
last, and I would wear all these, I'd get all dressed up in my fans. I was 20, and he'd yell at me because I was a little bit, like this. I wasn't like, Miss Glamour Puss. The woman that I was with, the other backup singer, had like fake boobies and long, nails and stuff. And I remember Robert Ferrer would always yell at me and say, "You look like a boy. You have to get long nails." And he'd pull me over, and he made me get Lee press on nails so I would look glamorous like the other lady. So I mean,
By the
I
way,
laugh.
that other lady, do you have her phone number by any chance?
No, she was great, but I don't know. I was a little bit more earthy than that, but it was a good experience, and I did that. We went on the road and we drove around this white van. Then I came back to New York, and I went to the New School. I didn't actually
Oh,
pay to go to the New School of Social Research, but they were starting a jazz program. And I decided that I would go in and just, for the hell of it, audition. And there was the director, the man who started the jazz program was a man named Arnie Lawrence, who was a great, great man who actually did a lot of work in Israel. In Jerusalem, he started a jazz school there, but he was a great influence on me. And he kind of let me hang out at the New School. A lot of greats came out of the New School, the Spin Doctors, Blues Traveler, a lot of famous people from my generation. Those guys were my
actually, if
classmates.
I have a mole here. If you do you have those doctors' phone numbers that
Haha,
you
this. Well, no, I do actually have the drummer's phone number, but
always the drummer. I gotta ask, what is it about drummers
he's a
and
great guy.
yeah, okay, all right, all right.
Now I'm gonna talk like you. Oi. Um so I went to the school and then a little bit, but I didn't really have the money to pay the tuition because it's astronomical, but I just kind of hung out there and I started hanging out and doing little gigs around, the Soho, and I'd get dressed up. I was like a size zero, and I'd have like these vintage Marilyn Monroe, dresses with high heels. And one day I was with Arnie, and I walked into this jazz club called Bradley's, which was a really iconic, great jazz club, and which is a lot of the greats would play there. And I walked in, and I remember very clearly there was this man sitting there playing the drums at the end of the room, and I'm walking in with the sequin dress and the high heels, and he looks up from his table and his fake drum set. He goes, "I'm in love." And his name was Peter Brightman, and he was a friend of Arnie's, and he was the tour manager for Louis Bellson, Pearl Bailey, Peggy Lee, all the greats, and at the time he was managing the Bolshoi and the Kirov Ballet.
All
Um,
right, this is. I'm wondering where the Bolshoi came into your story because there's a whole
yes,
thing. Yeah, all right. So this guy looks at you. Was he in love with you, like boyfriend in love? Or was he in love
yeah,
with you, like
I
I
love,
could make money
but
with
he
you?
was like 19 years older than
Oh,
I. And I thought, oh, Peter, but I fell in love with him too. It was kind of instant. And we became very, very quick friends. And he was like the love of my life. And
oh.
he would do things like, he had a very glamorous life. And, he'd be like, darling, I bought you a ticket to meet me in Paris for the weekend, or we'd travel all over the world, together. And
I can't
he
even
was,
get people to buy me a bus pass to
I,
Newark.
he
This is
was,
what you gotta be a size zero chick, looking hot in spangles, and you got the boobies there too. It's like, nah, I got nothing. I don't even. Oh my God, people make me pay them to go. Anywho, we're talking with DEANNA KIRK. So you meet this guy, the love at that point of your life. He's not the guy you have the kids with or the marriage or
No, no,
no.
that's a
Okay,
whole other story.
okay.
It's, but yeah. So Peter and I became I love him very much. We're very close friends. He lives in England
Ooh.
still, and we had a very wonderful friendship. And he would take me traveling with him, and he'd introduce me to all these great people. And he's a great jazz drummer himself. And anyway, he one day I was in a I would always, he'd be in town, and he'd always be kind of flitting off to some other country, and I'd be pining for him, waiting in the, if he didn't take me along on the trips, I'd be here, in my, humble Brooklyn room somewhere, waiting for his phone call from Russia, wherever. And sometimes I'd get telegrams. In those days, you would still get telegrams from Russia. And I knew, I don't even know what I, yeah. So, uh,
You're
we,
flushed. You're actually
yeah,
blushing and flushed, remembering
it
all of these.
wasn't good for my love life here though, because he would understand that I'd have other boyfriends, because he could never be available. But it made me want him even more because he gave me all this freedom, and he would just understood me, and we were, like I said, soulmates. And so
But
he
how does it get to the point where you're just not an aspiring singer, you're singing at all these clubs and things.
uh
You meet this wonderful man who happens to be connected on some level to the Bolshoi, and I'm hearing a little Russian mafia. Am I wrong about this? I'm totally wrong.
I don't know what I can safely talk about. He's not Russian, he's British, but I think
Oh,
there was some stuff going on. When you could hear the phone being tapped. In those days they had
oh.
landlines, and you could hear.
I
And
just tap it because I can't hear anybody. I got tinnitus.
I had
But
to be careful. Who knows? I don't really know. But it got interesting as years went by. But
so
the
through him and through his people, you not only got to sing, but you were already singing, but you got to own your own
Well,
place.
yes. One day I had met this in a cab. I met an Egyptian guy named Hefni, who was driving me to actually go see Peter at the Mayflower Hotel by Central Park, and we were going to see Peter off to one of his travels to wherever he was going, and I was just kind of going along for the ride to the airport. And Hefni would became his driver almost, and Hefni and I became very good friends. And I would go around, New York City with Hefni. He'd be this, the driver in the cab. And I had actually, in those days, I'd sat in the front seat, and I would give puppet shows to the people in the back seat, the customers and stuff. And we became great, great friends. And Peter, whenever he was in town, would ask Hefni to drive him to wherever he needed to go, because we all got along great. And one day, on one of our trips to take him to the airport, I said, Petey, I'm in the back seat with Petey, and I go, Petey, I'm really sick and tired of, I called him Petey. I'm sick and tired of singing these jazz clubs for $50 a night. I'm not doing anything. I should just open my own club. And it was a joke. And Peter said, darling, I'm prepared to make that happen for you. And I said, really? I was like, what? So Hefni overheard it, the cab driver Hefni, my Egyptian friend, and he literally pulled over and he said, are you kidding me? I will find a place next week. And he went, and we found a place in the East Village on 7th Street. It was an old Ukrainian post office on 7th Street near Avenue A, and the rent was $1,200 a month for 600 square feet. And Hefni knew how to run restaurants. He was a real street smart guy.
And this was
And Peter,
1980.
no, 1990.
Oh, 90. I'm still only, all right, yeah.
And Peter said, I'll write you a check for that. So he just gave us, we started off with $10,000. Peter wrote us a check, and we got it going. And subsequently we needed more money to go, but Peter would just keep writing the checks. And so we got the club open, and it was run in a kind of an unconventional way, but it was very magical. My father being the architect, and my mother and we all kind of created together. My parents had a big hand in it as well. And
And it was
we
Deanna's place, right? Is that what it was
it was
called?
called, I didn't want to call it Deanna's.
Oh,
Peter said, no, we should call it Deanna's, and so it was this thing where I had this connections to Arnie Lawrence, the new school guy that I told you about earlier. He was head of the jazz department. And I had all my friends that were going to the new school, like the Spin Doctors guys, and these great, Brad Meldau, all these wonderful, wonderful jazz musicians that I get too numerous to mention that are famous now. A guy named Jackie Terrason, that gave us his piano because he lived down the block. He gave us his Sommer grand piano. And it was a really just, we had these high ceilings and ceiling fans, but I designed the place with my parents, with my father, who was, as I said, the architect, in Hefni. And it was a beautiful place. It was just happened so organically. We had these gorgeous smoky mirrors that we got from my friend Freddie out in Long Island, who had this antiques shop, and these beautiful old lamps and upholstered. It was just like this kind of antique looking place. It was very beautiful. And we opened it up, and I was Deanna, and I would sing there every night or whenever I wanted to. And with the new school connections, we had the kids from the new school, and Thursday nights were magical. And Arnie knew a lot of the jazz greats at the time. A guy named Herman Foster would come in and play piano, and it was just magic. And Arnie was magic, and the students were magic every
Can I ask
Thursday
you, who
night.
was the most famous, that the
Well, the
non-jazz
famous
world?
people that came in were
Yeah, to
too
play.
numerous to mention. Oh, to play. Well, Clark Terry came in at the time he was still alive.
Well, I would hope so. After he was dead, it'd be
No.
horrible. You just slumped over a table and smelling bad. Yeah.
Cecil Taylor would come in, but he would never play.
Oh.
But Cecil Taylor would come and hang out in the audience. And we were underneath this place called the same building as a place called University of the Streets, where Barry Harris would do his workshop. So we'd have overflow from those people. And that it was just in the East Village in that time. That's when the riots were happening, and it was a very
Oh.
funky neighborhood. And Hefty was this tough guy because he was actually a veteran of the '67 war, and he fought
He would have fought for the Egyptians.
yes, he was
That
in the
son of a
Egyptian.
bitch. Sorry, but
Well,
that's
no, but the '73 war, they put him to war. His family put him to war when he was only 13, and he was very damaged by the war, and then came to the United States in 1976. But he had a lot of friends that were Israeli, and it was right next to us was 7A, and that was run by Israelis. And then
And I
next
have to
to
say, I do not to interrupt you, but I will interrupt you. I do have to say that, and, would I want to go through my bar mitzvah again or go to war at age 13?
I know.
It's iffy. I have to just, it's a rough bar mitzvah. Anywho, please continue.
No,
Deanna Kirk, yeah.
but just the whole like right next to us, we had a Lebanese place called Rumbles.
Hey, if women want to sleep together, that is their business.
And then upstairs we had the Muhammad was an African American Muslim man. So we had this whole like thing going on with the Muslims and the Jews and Hefty and
The way it should be.
and
Really.
but Arnie Lawrence, if you look him up, he was so into the peace in the Middle East thing, of course, as we all were, and he really loved the fact that Hefty was so close with the Israelis, and it was just very interesting, and he just loved that. I loved it too.
Now, this is such happy stuff, but how long was your club extant before you had a very, very bad night?
We had what do you mean? Well, we had 4 years.
Well, the thing burned down.
Yes, we had a fire, but it was also metaphoric. It burned down in many ways.
Oh.
Because we weren't getting along, and I was dating somebody else, and I met this guy named Billy Boski, who was the son of Ivan, who God bless him, the whole Boski family, and he kind of swept me off my feet. He said, you shouldn't be here anymore, you should leave, and I will, we're gonna do this and that, he started this record company, and I fell in love with him. And Hefty wasn't, because Hefty and I had a bit of a romance as well, and it was kind of this whole triangle thing.
It's like the mamas and the papas.
Yeah, and Peter was always traveling, but he was always very, we were always very close, and I always gave him my freedom. But then I fell in love with Billy, but I didn't really fit into the world so much because it was the world of billionaires and millionaires, and
Oh, I could learn to fit into that
Ivan
so easily.
Well, I love them, and we had fun. I mean, I did really love Billy, and I'm very grateful for the family. But because of my club, and because of my connections with Billy and Peter Brightman and a lot of people came in that had, money and were willing to be patrons of mine. And they were very supportive and wonderful. So I was very fortunate to have kind of a glimpse into that world.
But when your place got burned accident, whatever it was. 4 years. You built back. You found another
Well,
club.
that's
You didn't
because
just.
of Billy Boski, who changed his name to Billy Lehman. But he and his family were very supportive and helped me find investors to after I had a tour, a kind of a career, because I didn't do the jazz club for about 3 years. I regret that we didn't reopen. Heffney and I were at war at that time. We were not getting along, and we should have reopened, but we didn't. And Heffney went off on his own, and I didn't speak to him for a while, and I kind of started doing the singer-songwriter career. And I'm so grateful to Billy Lehman now, for starting the company Blackbird Recording Company. And he was also in connection with Elektra at Atlantic, and I had so much. I mean, I had so many resources, and I was really nurtured as an artist, and I was able to. We did before the club closed. We funded Live at DEANNA's, which is a great live jazz recording, which features the great old guys that would play every Saturday night. They were in their 70s and 80s then. In the 90s, they played with Billie Holiday. They would come up in their suits, Leonard Gaskin and Zeke Mullins. I mean, they were the.
Can I ask, did any of them tell you any Billy stories that you remember?
No, because I have a terrible memory, but they probably did, but I forgot.
Okay.
And I had a friend, my friend Sabu, actually used to run, be like a kind of a delivery guy for her. So I have those kind of stories. But yeah,
I think we know what she was getting delivered, but all right.
But so yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of all over the place. But yeah, so I left that, and I tried to do I was kind of involved with the record company and all that. And I realized after maybe 3 or 4 years that my best bet was again to open a second jazz club. I kind of thought that. And so I raised we only required about $20,000 or $30,000 to open the first jazz club, but the second jazz club had to be, we needed 250,000 at least just to open.
That's inflation. It wasn't that many years later, but holy crap!
I know. Well, we found a place on Rivington Street, and it was an old Yiddish theater. And it was this old Yiddish theater that was 107 Rivington Street, and we opened. It was a beautiful place, very elegant, and great people. Eartha Kitt came in, and all the Sex and the City people, and Keith Richards, and all these great people. I mean, I don't even know how many people would come. George Stephanopoulos, and I mean, the list goes on. They just loved it.
I just love the idea of Keith Richards and George Stephanopoulos sharing a table.
Oh, not only that. The two candidates for mayor at the time, Mark Green was running for mayor, and then who was the other guy that? Oh, Giuliano. No, it wasn't. Who won? I don't even know.
It wasn't Beam or
no
Dinkins or Koch or
no, Dinkins. No, I forget who it was, but the other guy won.
Oh, the other guy won. Was it Dinkins or Bloomberg or Giuliani or who am I missing? Am I missing somebody? Maybe Ivan Boesky. I'm not.
No, it wasn't Ivan. But Ivan would come in because Billy would come in and Seema. I love his mom, Seema, and his sister Marianne, who has an art gallery. She was lovely. They were all so supportive. And so,
can I ask you, in terms of the day-to-day of running a club, first for 4 years and then the second? I mean, how much?
Well, I'll tell you,
creative, and how much is like getting the books, getting the money, making sure the bouncers nobody gets too drunk. You have to pay the lighting bill. What?
If anybody were to bet money on whether this person that you see before you is good at handling money and finances, you'd probably say no, right?
Yeah.
So I had to have all those people doing those jobs around me, but I am very good at running a room and making sure the vibe is right and curating the space and doing the things that are very important to opening a jazz club and running a jazz club. And that requires person-to-person contact. Being able to deal with lots of people.
Were you the booker? Were you the person who...
I helped. I did a lot of that, but that's a hard job, and sometimes I'd lose steam, and then people around me would take over. It was a collaborative effort. In the first club, Heffney started to take over a lot more. We had tap dancers there. My mother would sing every Sunday, and she would do Sunday brunch, and so yeah. But then the second club, we're on to the second club. That we had a trouble because Hefny had in the first club sold alcohol to. I went off on a trip to the Dominican Republic for a week, and of course, Hefny sold alcohol without us having a license, and we got a
Wait,
ticket.
to an underage or just the alcohol?
No, we didn't have our liquor license yet, and he sold to
Oh,
undercover SLA people, and we weren't able to have a liquor license. But that we were told when we had the second jazz club, Hefny wasn't involved anymore. We were told that it would be no problem, that it was just a mistake in the first place. But because of the kind of political climate of the second, it turned to 1999. This was,
so it
and
was
the
almost
neighbor
Giuliani. It was either Koch or Giuliani. Or I'm sorry. Anyway,
wasn't
yeah.
Koch. I'm trying to think. But anyway, see that's how important it is to us, right? But so the we because we I couldn't get a liquor license. And it was a really nice restaurant, but we had a really hard time getting a liquor license. And the neighborhood was really quickly being developed. Now the Rivington Street and all that. And so we were open and the building sold it changed partners like three times. It was weird. I got the lease, then I lost the lease. Then this great guy, who he gave the lease back to me because he liked me, and we signed a 10-year lease, and we built the place, and it was, very stressful.
Well, yeah. Well, how long did the
Um,
second club last?
that only lasted about from 99 to 2001. And
Oh,
what
did
happened
COVID
was,
close it, or what? What?
well, what happened was, as I'm saying, it was this old Yiddish theater that was
Yeah.
2 stories maybe, and it was this beautiful building. But the whole area was getting developed so quickly, and it was valuable real estate. So what happened was the guy that had bought the building for the third time was a guy named Noam, one of my Israeli friends, Noam Baram, who's so he came in and he said, I couldn't pay the rent, blah, blah, blah. But he got an offer from this guy named Paul Stallings, who made they had to buy me out for $475,000 to leave my lease. And my investor said, listen, you don't have the liquor license. It's a real struggle right now. You're not going to get the liquor license yet. It's going to take too long. Take the money and run. So it was hard for me because I was really struggling. And Noam, who was my third landlord, um, he had to pay me $475,000 so he could then sell the Yiddish theater that he had then owned to Paul Stallings, who then built the tallest building to this day in the Lower East Side, the Rivington Hotel.
Oh,
And that's how I got any kind of money from anything. I paid all my investors back, and the really generous ones, they had so much, they kind of just like forgave their investment, which was very kind. And I maybe had a couple $100,000, and I bought property up a house upstate. And by that time I was
so
thinking,
you do have a seichel for money. There you go.
no, no, no. I bought a house upstate, and I flipped it, and I flipped it again. And then I had a baby.
Well, I hope you
And
didn't flip that. Is it okay?
yeah, well, he's 23 now.
Oh, mazel, mazel,
But
yes.
so yeah, so I did all that, and I'm still numb, the guy that had to give me the money, and I remained friends all these years for 20 years, and we're still very close. And he just last year, he and I were negotiating for a third Deanna's on the outskirts of Chinatown on Madison Street, near the Manhattan Bridge. And but something happened. He had some complications in his life, and it didn't come through. It fell through. But I'm still in touch with Noam, and he's still
So are
close
you?
to
Are
my
you? Would
heart.
you do it again? Would you want to have your
I
own
would do it
little
again.
what?
I
Yeah.
would do it again if I had the right person running it with me, because I've always had to have that. I have the strength, but right now I'm kind of focusing on being with my parents a little bit more. So that. But even having said that, if I had the right backing and I had the right people running it, it would be an absolutely feasible venture. And now all these jazz fits, I'm kind of jealous because Spike, who owns Mesro, and he just opened a great club called Jazz Cultural on 46th Street and Smalls. He's a contemporary of mine. He actually played at my club, Deanna's, when we were kids, and he opened another club, and then this other guy, Joe Strasser, just opened, a drummer, a friend of mine, opened another club, just a couple of weeks ago, and all these people are opening these clubs, and I feel like, wow, I should. And Spike said I shouldn't open another club because he knows that I'm not a business person, and it's a hard thing. It's very, very stressful. But I do have a lot of strength, and I have a lot of energy for the whole big picture. As long as I have somebody watching the money, and I'm a little bit more savvy than I was. I wouldn't make the same mistakes, hopefully, again. I think at this point I'd be a bit more detached. I'm older and hopefully a little wiser. So
But
anyway.
still, you get to now sing at other people's clubs,
I
which is
do, I do,
yeah.
and I've been working, and I still do a lot of jazz and cabaret performances, but like I said, I've always had this split personality where I have this kind of singer-songwriter thing, not kind of, and like I said, this is the CD that just came out.
So we can wait. Hold on.
Uh,
Let's see this thing here. There we go.
Ophelia's Shoes.
Just came out literally like a month ago.
Yeah, well,
Ophelia
May
Shoes.
22nd, just almost a month ago now. I can't believe it, how time flies. I just did a performance at another new jazz club called the Five Spot in my neighborhood, and I hope to return there in September. But my kind of lately, my collaboration with Lisa Faith Phillips has been really the thing I've been doing, because she's just such a great, great storyteller, and it's a perfect combination with her storytelling and with her speaking about these great composers that are so close to my heart, and then I'm able to interpret the songs.
Now, a couple of quick things. First of all, you mentioned Lisa Faith Phillips, who's a friend of the neighborhood. She's been on this program.
Lives on my block. She lives on 4th Street. We're neighbors.
There you go. You should be going to NYU together at this point. But then, and also, there's someone else involved in a show that you are doing with her.
John DiMartino.
Andy Martino. He's like the musical.
John DiMartino, who I've recorded another CD of jazz standards called Lost in Languid Love Songs, which is really something I'm proud of as well. It's not originals. It's ballads, a lot of ballads, and we did that a few years back. And
but all three of you, John DiMartino, Lisa Faith Phillips, and the lovely DEANNA KIRK, you can see them Saturday night.
Yes.
June 20th.
You have the flyer? Oh, wait.
I don't have the flyer. If you show the flyer, we'll show the flyer. It's 7 o'clock at Pangea, one of the better known jazz and cabaret clubs over on. Yes, please. Yes.
Yes. And thank goodness for those guys, because they are also really, really instrumental in keeping the music going. Here's the flyer.
Oh, there we go. Good. Because you're singing Brel and Michel Legrand.
Yes, two composers very close to my heart. And my mother, Anna Maria, who I was just with, who's outside in the backyard, is going to do a duet with me. She's going to sing Marique.
Oh, I am Marika.
Yes. She taught me basically how to sing, and she's going to be there, and I'm so grateful. So she's going to be doing that, and
everybody be there. It's at Pangea, which is over on East 12th Street.
Yeah, make your reservations, because I think this is going to be a hot ticket. A lot of people are going to be there.
PangeaNYC.com is the website. Pangea, Pangea. I know it sounds like a disease, but no, it's not. PangeaNYC.com.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn more just about DEANNA KIRK herself, unfortunately, her website is all forsmushed. But you can go to her Facebook page, her Instagram page, which is DEANNA KIRK Official, and she also has a YouTube channel where you can hear, if you're wondering, should I buy Ophelia's Shoes or some of your older CDs, go to the YouTube channel, listen to this woman sing.
Just Google me.
Google her. Yeah, Google her too.
I have a Wikipedia page. I have a Wikipedia page.
Oh, this is. But tell us, what are some of the songs on Ophelia's Shoes?
Oh, okay. So the reason I thought it was cool to make an actual CD was because it is kind of everything relates. It's a theme that ties these kind of iconic figures together. So there's Ophelia, and the story about how she, the famous Shakespearean character who runs away in the craziness, but then drowns in the river. In my Ophelia, she emerges triumphant. It's kind of
Oh,
a little different, but of course Taylor Swift came out with a great
just
song.
what timing, huh? This
I
is
know,
the
right? And I
jump
thought,
on
oh,
your Ophelia bandwagon.
should I change the name? I don't know. I
Well, no,
love
it
that.
didn't affect the band's song about Ophelia either, So go ahead.
That's a great song anyway. And then Michelangelo, about my feelings about being the muse. For maybe I have feelings about my friend Peter, who I told you about. It kind of reminiscent of that relationship, and Billy, and my wonderful Heffney, and the people that romances in my life that were very influential. But maybe even past lives, maybe and how we tend to idolize and create, like, this kind of figure of who we want somebody else, the Venus, the typical story,
Oh, please, I
carving
have Venus
away.
sang me all my life.
And all right, I'm not very articulate. That's why I have Lisa doing all the talking at the shows. And then there's, oh, Stella. Stella. That's another song. So there's these a lot of women's names. So we have Ophelia, we have Michelangelo, then we have Persephone, which is kind of like this duet between Demeter, Persephone's mom, and Persephone, and they kind of it's in the song. You'll hear it if you listen to the song. And then there's so all through my recording life, I've had this alter ego character called Mariana, and I do a Mariana suite where I'm kind of revisiting the past Mariana songs from my two other studio CDs that I did when I was signed to Blackbird and Atlantic and Elektra. And then I have a new Mariana song, which is added to that. So that's, and then there's another song at the end called Fall, which is kind of a song of redemption. I mean, I guess it's kind of, whatever. You have to hear it.
Yeah, you do have to. I've heard the song Ophelia's Shoes. It's quite lovely, and it's very reminiscent of someone that you have, I think, either sung with or toured with, who is also a friend of the neighborhood, the wonderful soul, and Jane Siberry.
Oh, I love Jane Siberry. What an honor it was to tour with her.
What was she? Do you have any Jane Siberry stories? Because she's magnificently eccentric, but so deep.
Yes, I have one. I kind of had a feeling like she kind of liked me, but I don't know. She and the band were kind of aloof towards me. But I remember I was touring with the piano player and my co-writer Patrick Doherty, and this trumpet player called Todd Horton, and they were both exes of mine.
Is there with all due respect, is there anybody you didn't sleep with in the musical world in the past 40 years?
No, they were
Is Louis Armstrong an ex?
I've only been with one guy. I've only been with one guy, believe it or not, for like 13 years now. It's Robert. He's down. I think he's outside. Anyway, but then it was the trumpet player and wonderful Patrick Doherty, who's in his own right a great artist, and he and I would collaborate on many, many songs. But we were touring, and I remember saying to Jane, God, I have both Patrick and Todd together on this tour. It's this double whammy. And she looked at Todd, who happened to be sitting next to me, and she goes, I guess you're just a whammy then.
All righty.
So you had to kind of be there.
I got it.
It was like me complaining like the idiotic,
But I feel like you got some stuff musically from her. I also hear.
Oh God, she was just a great. I just have to hear her sing a note, and I'm transported and inspired to do my best. And the fact that she allowed me to be her opening act was a great honor. So we toured throughout Canada and throughout the States, and we went to as far as the West Coast. Yeah, but that was great. That was a great experience, and we sang at town hall and in the city. Yeah.
Okay, are you on that trilogy she did of? Were you part of that group when she released?
No, but there was some great Catherine Russell. No, but she No, but
So, who are some of the other people that you've, even if they didn't play your club, that you've gotten to sing with, like idols and icons that you've
oh,
sung with?
Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees.
Oh,
He would come into Deanna's in the first Deanna's, and we would sing our duet, which was "Till There Was You,"
oh.
because he did that a version of that. There were bells on the hill, but I never heard them ringing. No, I never heard them at all till there was you. And he would sing with, and we'd harmonize. We had a whole thing. It was fun. He was very nice. He was a
You are
nice
the
guy.
music woman. Forget the music man. You are the music woman, DeAnna Kirk. Oh my God. Who else? Who else do you have special fond memories, even if you didn't sleep with
You
them?
know
Just,
the
just.
thing is, I have a memory like a sieve. It's so funny. That's why I'd like to write my little autobiography, but I'd have to ask somebody else who has a better memory than I to give me, information about my life. But if I had to say who else, oh, Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt was so great. She came in, she had a little CD release event at the Second Jazz Club. And she came in, and I had garbage picked in the pouring rain, this wing back chair, like this gorgeous wing back chair. And I had it reupholstered in velvet leopard print material.
That's Eartha right there.
And
Yeah.
I remember her coming in, and I had it set up on this kind of throne for Eartha because I was so thrilled that she was coming in. And I had it set up, and she was so lovely and generous. And I heard that she was really into, thrift shopping and antiquing and everything. And I said, Eartha, I garbage picked this chair for you. And I had
Could have
it
introduced it a
in
different
the
way, but all
pouring
right.
rain because she was Eartha. She lived up to her name. She's very down to earth, and very sweet. And I just told her the truth. I'd garbage picked on Fifth Street and Second Avenue this gorgeous wasn't leopard print yet, this wingback chair. I dragged it to the upholstery guy on Sixth Street, and I had it upholstered in this leopard print velvet. And she goes, darling, how wonderful. I must tell my daughter Kit that. And I said, all I could think in that moment was she named her daughter Kit. So her daughter's name is Kit Kit. And
Wow. Wow. This
that's like a
is.
great story, right? And then, so she loved the chair, and I cherished that chair for years and years. And I actually, it was one of my prized possessions, the Eartha Kitt chair, And unfortunately, I lost it in my house upstate. One of the houses the house that I bought, right, actually, with the money from the sale of the Second Jazz Club. Uh, it burned down in a fire 2 years ago, and I lost
2 years.
everything a couple of
Oy.
years ago. Well, I had it's in effect because I had sold the Second Jazz Club. I had money to buy properties, so it was the third of the
How
prop.
you seem like someone who really does pick yourself up, dust yourself off, start all
Start all
over
over
again. Yeah.
again. Yeah, and my mother actually in the opening, the second club, when we opened it, she sang. She sat at the piano and she sang, "When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high." That one, she sang that for me, and it was a wonderful moment. Yeah. So, you'll never walk alone, and it is, yeah, kind of like a phoenix. And who knows if what's going to happen in my life again. I'd be willing to open another club. Just, bring on and Robert, my partner, is a great designer builder of restaurants. That's what he does.
Oh.
So if we come up with another $250,000,
All
we
right.
could easily open another jazz club.
Billy Boski, are you watching? Or anybody?
I know
All the
Billy, Billy,
billionaires who
Billy,
watch this show.
Billy changed his name. Well, the thing is,
Billy Lehman's. Yeah.
they look at me and they think, well, she's not a business person. And even Spike told me you shouldn't. I said, Spike, you open up all these clubs, and you said, you were not, you didn't think I should open a club. He goes, exactly. I thought you shouldn't open a club, but that's not really. It's not. I don't believe that. I believe that I should open a club because my two clubs were very successful, but I just had extenuating circumstances, and they were actually lines out the door. People loved them. They really were
Well,
great famous people came in. It was just that I had weird circumstances, And I do need a good manager. I
Well, can
need
I
a
ask,
good
would it make
business
sense
manager.
for you to co-run an extinct, like bring in some investors and take a club that is doing okay, but could
I'd
boom?
have to be able to decorate. Yeah. I'd
Uh,
have to make the vibe. I'd have to
right,
be there. I'd have to build on my reputation from the last two clubs.
yeah,
And I think third is a charm. I mean, I kind of felt like it was my destiny. Things took another turn this past year where I decided that, what didn't want to do. He said he still wants to do it actually, but I don't know if I believe him, but we'll see. But I could get, if I really worked hard at it and I was focused enough, I could probably hustle up the money for a third one if anybody's out there. But
yeah,
I will not lie to anybody and say that I'm a good at running numbers, finances, and stuff like that. And I am good at being there as the personality and making sure everybody shows up. And I'm a great diplomat. I'm
right.
very good at hiring people. Have a
And you're
really
still
good sense
connected
for that.
to people who are connected to Russian underworld who are very good at running numbers. So yeah,
Yes,
they can absolutely help you
I'm
there.
not even kidding.
Good. We've been talking with DEANNA KIRK. I want to remind everybody that you can go see her Saturday night. That might be actually when this is running, June 20th, 7 o'clock in the evening at Pangea with her friend Lisa Faith Phillips and also
John
John
DiMartino.
DiMartino, excuse me, for that, singing songs by Jacques Brel and Michel Legrand. That's at Pangea, 178 2nd Avenue over on East 12th Street, PangeaNYC.com.
Yes.
Also, you're gonna hold up those CDs again, I hope. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
here we go. Get Ophelia, wear Ophelia's shoes. Put on
It's on
Ophelia
iTunes. It's on all the platforms.
CD
It's
Baby,
on, yeah,
Spotify.
yeah,
It's
all that stuff.
and check out her Facebook
And
page.
here's the Pangea flyer.
There it is.
And the DEANNA KIRK official is my Instagram, and Facebook is just my DEANNA KIRK. And I don't know, just I'm out there floating around in the ethers, however I
Yeah,
can
you
be.
play free. If we miss her at Pangea, you're often playing the five, not often, but
The five spot,
five spot and
Mesro,
mhm.
Mesro in the West Village. I don't know. We got to drum up some other clubs. Maybe I'll be at One Flight Up. I'll with Joe Strasser's new club. We'll see. I don't know. Lots of different places. I got to just hustle up some gigs. I'm not very aggressive when it comes to getting gigs, but somehow they happen.
Well,
If
DEANNA
anybody out
KIRK.
there wants to be my manager, I'm here. No,
Oh, there,
they
there she
tried.
is, ladies and gentlemen. She's
My miss,
lovely. She
I'm my
sings.
miss manager. I'm my miss manager.
Yeah, that'll get you investors right there. Just
It,
put it out there.
do you know, it was just a magical thing. It was just things just kind of happened, and they are going to continue to happen.
Oh, wait. Can I ask you what your favorite song of all? You okay? What happened?
Oh, something flew in through the window. Okay, yeah.
Well, your favorite song of all time. Let's go out with. Do you have one?
No, but Cole Porter always comes to mind.
All
And I
right.
sang this when the New York Times interviewed me for a little thingy called Second Chances. And I thought it was very appropriate. So, why am I just as happy as a child? Why am I like a racehorse running wild? Why am I in a state of ecstasy? The reason is 'cause something's happening to me. I'm in love again. And it goes
And
on, Cole Porter. And I love, love, love it. We'll save it for the recording. I think I recorded that. I don't know. Anyway,
well, we love DEANNA KIRK, ladies and gentlemen. Wishing you success. Another club if you want it, or certainly more performances here and more recordings, because God, what a voice and what a personality. Just so great to have you in the neighborhood. Best of luck and shalom to you.
I'm gonna miss you. Stay in touch.
Oh, you got it, definitely. Absolutely. And tell more stories of Israelis and Jews, because this
I
is
will. Thank you. Mwah.
what? Shalom.
Bye. Shalom.